The Lyft passenger I'll never forget. So, I've been driving for Lyft for a few years now. Mostly late night shifts in my beat up 2005 Volvo. It's not fancy, but it's reliable, you know. The roads are quiet after midnight. The tips are better, and I love the stillness of the city when everyone's asleep. But a few months ago, I picked up a passenger who turned my world upside down. I didn't have a dash cam back then. Big mistake after this night. I swore I'd never drive without one again. Asterisk, it was around 2:30 a.m. and I was cruising through a sleepy part of town when I got a ride request from a convenience store a few blocks away. Nothing unusual, but as I got closer, this weird feeling hit me like a knot in my stomach. You ever get that vibe where something just feels off? That was me. I pulled into the parking lot, and my heart sank. The store was closed, lights off, no cars, just an empty lot under the dim glow of a streetlight. I slowed down, thinking maybe I'd cancel. When I saw him, asterisk, this guy was pacing outside the store, wearing a hoodie so worn out it looked like it might disintegrate. The sleeves had holes, and he was moving all jerky, like he couldn't stay. Still, he kept glancing over his shoulder, like he was expecting someone to jump out of the shadows. My gut screamed, drive away. But for some dumb reason, I didn't. Maybe it was the late hour, or maybe I just felt bad for the guy. I unlocked the doors, and he slid into the back seat without a word. Asterisk, the second he got in, I regretted it. Most passengers are glued to their phones or staring out the window, but not this dude. He just sat there staring at me through the rearview mirror. Not blinking, not looking away, staring. His eyes were intense, almost angry, and it made my skin crawl. I tried to play it cool, turning on the radio to fill the silence some. Random pop station, but the second the music started, he snapped, turned it off. His voice was deep, raspy, like he'd smoked a pack a day for years. I flinched, nearly swerving, and shut it off quick, gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Asterisk, we drove in silence for a bit. I was praying he'd just stay quiet until we got to his drop-off. But then he spoke again, and his question hit me like a punch to the gut. Ever pick up someone you shouldn't have? I forced a laugh, trying to keep it light, and said, I hope not. But he didn't laugh, muttering something under his breath I couldn't catch. Then he started rambling about how he used to drive for Uber but quit after. Some punk stole stuff from his car. His words were slurred, like he was on something, and every time I glanced in the mirror, was smiling this creepy, unnatural grin that didn't match the story he was telling. Normal people don't smile when they're talking about getting robbed, right? It's asterisk. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. It's funny how much trust you put in someone sitting right behind you. So my heart started pounding. This guy wasn't just weird. He felt dangerous. I kept my eyes glued to the road, focusing on the GPS, like it was my lifeline. We were only a few minutes from his stop, but he kept talking, mumbling nonsense about messing up and apologizing to someone definitely not me. He kept saying, I didn't mean it, over and over, his voice frantic. I stayed quiet, terrified that saying anything might set him off. Asterisk, just when I thought it couldn't get worse. He suddenly yelled, You missed the turn. I hadn't the GPS was clear, but I slammed on the brakes out of pure fear, demanded. I pulled over, so I did, my hand shaking so bad I could barely shift into park. That's when I saw headlights behind us. A police car crept by, its spotlight sweeping over my car. The guy in the back slouched down, practically lying flat on the seat, eyes closed, like he was trying to disappear. I held my breath, praying the cop would stop, but they just kept going. Asterisk, after what felt like forever, the guy sat up, looked at me and said, You got lucky. Before I could react, he bolted out of the car and vanished into the night. Done. I canceled my shift, drove home, and sat in my driveway, heart still racing. A few weeks later, I was scrolling on my phone and saw a news article that made my stomach drop. That same night, a convenience store 2 blocks from where I picked him up had been robbed. The description of the suspect matched my passenger too. A Tirati hoodie, jerky movements, all of it. I was inches away from a criminal who could have done God knows what. I haven't called the police personal reasons. Long story, but I'm way more careful now. That night still haunts me, and every time I drive past a dark convenience store, I feel that knot in my stomach again. Story 2. The cabin in the woods. That wasn't what it seemed 3 years ago. I left the city for good. I used to love the urban vibe, hustle and bustle, all that, but after a traumatic experience I won't bore you with, I couldn't handle the noise anymore. It's car horns, slamming doors, even people talking too loud, all sent this tingling panic through my chest. My therapist called it phonophobia, a rare condition where sounds triggered intense fear. I was done. I needed peace, so I found this cabin deep in the Pacific Northwest, somewhere in Oregon. I'm keeping the exact location vague for reasons you'll understand soon. Let's just say it was the middle of nowhere, and that's what I wanted. Asterisk. The cabin was perfect, small, cozy, built to last with thick wooden beams and a stone fireplace that smelled like pine and old books. It was like stepping into one of those ski lodge bed and breakfasts, minus the tourists. No neighbors for miles, no traffic, barely any cell service, just pure, beautiful silence. I'd wake up to birds chirping instead of sirens, and at night, it was just the wind rustling the trees. I work remotely, so I didn't need to leave much. For the first time in forever, I felt like I could breathe. Asterisk, about a week in, I got a knock on the door. No doorbell. Obviously just loud, deliberate knocks. I opened it to find an older woman, maybe late 60s, holding a basket of homemade preserves. Like she'd walked out of a movie. She introduced herself as Michelle, said she lived a 10-minute walk down a dirt path through the woods. Her gray hair was long and wild, and her blue eyes had this piercing quality, like she could see right into your soul. She wasn't rude, just blunt. She shoved the basket at me, saying, "Welcome to the woods." I took it, mostly because she wasn't giving me a choice, but something about her vibe felt off. It's like too intense for a neighborly visit. Asterisk before she left, she said something I'll never forget. Always keep your lanterns full, your window shut tight, and your wits sharper than your axe. It sounded like a warning, not advice, and it gave me chills. She stood there, staring like she expected me to say something profound. I just nodded, smiled awkwardly, and closed the door. I waited, listening for her footsteps to fade, but she stood there for a solid 45 seconds before walking away. Weird, right? I set the basket on the counter and tried to shake it off. She seemed reclusive, but not dangerous, so I told myself to chill. Asterisk, that night, a rare Oregon thunderstorm rolled. I lit some candles, curled up with a book, and actually found the storm soothing no city noises, just nature. But around 10 p.m., a loud banging on the door nearly made my heart stop. 10. It wasn't a knock. It was like someone was pounding with both fists. That tingling panic in my chest came back full force. I grabbed flashlight, peeked through the window, and saw Michelle, soaked from head to toe, clutching her own flashlight. I opened the door, and before I could say anything, she blurted, "I saw someone by your wood pile. You need to know." Asterisk, my brain. Short-circuited wood pile. Okay, happened was 10 minutes away. Would she even hear in a storm? I stepped onto the porch, shining my flashlight into the rain, but saw nothing but trees and darkness. I asked if she was sure, and she nodded, her eyes darting to the woods like she was waiting for someone to pop out. This was creepy as hell. She told me to be careful, and walked off into the storm without another word. I stood there, dumbfounded, until her flashlight disappeared. Asterisk back inside. I realized her story didn't add up. How could she see my woodpile from her place? Was she creeping around my property? I locked every door and window, my heart racing. The storm died down, but I couldn't shake the unease. Around 2 a.m., I woke to a branch snapping outside my bedroom window. I'm a light sleeper, so I knew it wasn't my imagination. I crept to the window, heart pounding, and there she was, Michelle, standing at the edge of the woods, her back to my house. Her long hair was unmistakable in the moonlight. I ducked down, terrified she'd see me. When I peeked again, she was gone. Asterisk. I was done sleeping, stayed up, clutching my flashlights, second-guessing everything. Why warn me if she was the one lurking? Then, just as I was starting to doze off around 4 a.m., another knock came soft this time. I tiptoed to the door, peeked through the window, and froze. It wasn't Michelle. It was a burly, bald guy with a thick beard, looking like he could break me in half. I bolted to the bathroom, locked the door, and called 911, whispering to the operator as banging started on the front door loud, like he was trying to break it down. Glass shattered, wood splintered, and I thought I was done for. The operator kept me on the line until the police arrived. But the guy was already gone. Asterisk. The cops searched my cabin and found it trash, broken dishes, furniture flipped. And I agreed to check Michelle's place, but when we got there, my jaw dropped. Our cabin was abandoned, boarded up, covered in cobwebs. The cops said no one had lived there in decades. I begged them to search for squatters, but they brushed me off, saying it was a waste of time and that living in the woods came with risks. I was furious, but too shaken to argue. I spent one more sleepless night in my cabin, packed up, and moved out. Some friends think Michelle was a ghost trying to protect me, but I don't buy it. I think she and that guy were squatters, targeting me for reasons I'll never know. I'm back in the city now, but I still jump at every loud noise. Asterisk story 3. The Christmas drive that changed everything. Asterisk. My name's Luke. And my girlfriend Catherine and I have been together since freshman year at Stanford. We're both from Ohio, me from just outside Columbus. Her from Cincinnati, which is probably why we clicked so fast in the sea of California kids. One of our favorite traditions is how we split Christmas between our families. We spent Christmas Eve with my folks, who go all out that night. Then drive 2 hours to Catherine's place for Christmas Day. The drive itself is the best part. It's always late, the roads are empty, and we blast Juice WRLD Don't Judge. It's our thing. Singing together on those quiet back roads feels like we're the only 2 people in the world. Asterisk. Last Christmas Eve was no different at first. We had a great night with my family, stuffing ourselves with my mom's famous lasagna, laughing until our sides hurt. Around midnight, we loaded up my car, the snow falling lightly, and hit the road. The route's all back roads, fields, trees, the occasional farmhouse glowing in the distance. With the heat cranked and Juice WRLD blasting, everything felt perfect. Until my phone rang. Asterisk. It was an unknown number, which was weird for 1 a.m. on Christmas Eve. I ignored it, figuring it was a scam call. Catherine laughed, joking about how dedicated those call center scammers must be. We chuckled, but a few minutes later it rang again. Same unknown number. I sighed, annoyed, and let it go to voicemail. Catherine raised an eyebrow, and I showed her the screening known caller. She said, "That's so weird," and I shrugged it off. But when it rang a third time, I lost it. I grabbed the phone, ready to rip into whoever was spamming me, and barked, "Hello?" Asterisk silence. Just faint static. Turned up the car's volume, thinking it was a bad connection. But then a man's voice came through, calm and unfamiliar. "Hello, Luke." I nearly swerved off the road. My full name, my address, Details about my life stuff no stranger should know poured out of his mouth. My skin started itching, a nervous tic I've had since I was a kid. I wanted to pull over, but I kept driving like I was on autopilot. Catherine's eyes were wide, her face pale. I managed to ask, "What do you want?" Trying to sound steady, asterisk. He paused, then said, "I'm not here for you. I'm here for Catherine." Hearing her name was like a knife to my chest. Her expression mirrored mine, pure terror. I blurted out, "I don't know what Catherine. You've got the wrong number." He chuckled, low and menacing, and said, "She's sitting right next to you." That was it. I pulled over, hands shaking so bad I could barely hold the wheel. Before I could say anything else, Catherine grabbed the phone and hung up. Asterisk got lost. "Hey, Yelly, why'd you do that?" She just stared at me, eyes brimming with tears, saying she was scared. I tried calling the number back once, twice, 3 times, but it wouldn't connect. She begged me to keep driving, so I did, but the vibe in the car was dead. No music, no talking, just silence and fear. I kept glancing at her, wondering why she'd hung up so fast. We've had trust issues before. Little white lies, moments, where I caught her hiding stuff, but could she really be tied to this? I felt paranoid even thinking it. Asterisk, the rest of the drive was torture. I kept expecting the phone to ring again, but it didn't. When we got to Catherine's place, I didn't feel any safer. We asked our families if they'd pranked us. Nobody had, and I believed them. Catherine swears she's as clueless as I am, but I'm not sure. No one else knew we were on that road that night. It's been a month, and every time my phone rings, I brace myself, waiting for that voice. I don't know if it was a prank or something darker, but I do know one thing. I'll never feel safe on that drive again. Asterisk so. There you have it, 3 stories that still keep me up at night. Whether it's a creepy Lyft passenger, a mysterious woman in the woods, or a terrifying phone call, these experiences remind me how unpredictable life can be. Let me know in the comments which one creeped you out the most. And if you've got your own spooky stories, I'd love to hear them. Stay safe out there, and maybe don't drive alone at night.